All right, so here we go. The meat of the matter. This is what you really want to hear. All right, so let me start off slow. And we're going to get a little bit more furious, and you're going to have to strap on your seatbelt because we're going to go for a ride here after I'm done with these stories. So let's start off slow with a story I don't think many of you will have a problem with. And I'm taking this story from experience. This was not my idea, but once I saw this in action, I started using it at all my clients' locations. Are you ready? So here I am in the hotel business, and I'm selling. And a major piece of business is considering, I don't know, 4 or 5 different locations. They're considering Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, and me. All right, let's just say I'm a Holiday Inn. So they go take a tour of the Marriott, and they do a good job. They take a tour of the Hyatt. They do a great job. Now it's my turn, and I'm in this cycle of who they're trying to compare me to. And I got to believe, most of these meeting planners are not full-time meeting planners. They do something else for a living. So this is complicated for them. This is not what they normally do. This is not what they're really good at. I mean, they do something else for a living, and somebody say, hey, go plan this conference kind of a thing. Now, we do have dedicated meeting planners and professionals that do this at a high level, but for the most part, these are people that have something else to do as a major responsibility. This is something else that's been asked of them. And sometimes we just make it difficult for these people to truly understand who we are. So this kind of cuts through the chase. Are you ready? So it's time to take a tour of my hotel. I'm a Holiday Inn, let's say. And I would take them to a sleeping room, and I would let them enter the room before I would. By the way, the name of this chapter is called Dummies in the Room. That kind of gives you a clue. So they would enter the room, and all of a sudden they come running back out again. And as a salesperson, you had to watch because they come running back out again, and they'd say, there's somebody in there. And you'd start laughing, and I'm laughing now because every time it would happen, you'd start laughing. You couldn't help yourself. I mean, they're mortified. Oh, my goodness, how could you do this to me? And you say, no, let's go back in the room. And they would go back in slowly, like dipping their toe in the water kind of a thing, right? And they kind of tiptoe into the room, and they say, oh, man, I can't believe it. This client, the first time I saw it, had spent a ton of money on some really good-looking mannequins. And I guess good mannequins are expensive. And he dressed one up sitting at the desk in front of a laptop with the phone in his ear. He had a woman laying on the bed reading a book. He had another person in the bathtub with bubbles. He had taken a room out of the inventory and had dressed it up so that we as salespeople could show the consumer what it would look like if it was occupied by their guests. And we would say, listen, anybody can show you an empty room, and I'll show you as many empty rooms as you want to see. But this is how your room's going to look with your people in it. Look how functional it is. And you would go through all the benefits and the reasons why you'd want to do it. Well, obviously, it's a lasting impression. They would go back to their office and tell everybody this story. And guess who had the edge when it came to these tours? It would be us, all because of these mannequins. Now, this is a big commitment. You're taking a room out of inventory. You're spending money on mannequins, clothing, and the whole 9 yards. But look at the return on investment. How many people will say right now, forget it, I don't need to go on another tour. If I do, it's just I'm going through the motions. This is my hotel. If these guys have this kind of attention to detail for this kind of a thing, imagine how well they'll take care of my conference. I think you get the point. Now, let's pick up the pace a little bit. Let's get a little bit more unnerving, if you will. So, I don't need salespeople. I've got a full complement of a sales office. I'm doing well. But that would never stop me from putting want ads in the paper and spreading the word out there that I'm looking for a salesperson or two. And what would happen, of course, is my competition's salespeople would call me up on the sly and say, I would like to interview for that job. We would meet off property so they'd feel more comfortable. Over a cup of coffee, a glass of wine, especially because then they'd really talk to me. They would tell me things that their bosses would be mortified that they were telling me. And there's an old saying that says, those who will steal for you will steal against you. And I never forgot that, and I never will. If there's a better opportunity for your salesperson to go elsewhere, and they're not as loyal to you as you want them to be, then they're going to be gone. And you have trained that person to be gone. You have trained them on how to steal your business. They know all of your intimate accounts. They know all of your contacts. They are worth their weight in gold. And even though I didn't need a salesperson, I would still interview for salespeople just to get the intel to be able to now go out and steal that business. Now, the person I would love on the interview would be the person that would say, listen, I'm not going to share all my dirty and dark secrets with you, but I'm going to give you just enough so you know I know what I'm talking about. And I have enough respect for my owner and my operators. I may not see eye to eye with them on everything, which is why I'm here. but I have to have respect for these people. They hired me, and I have respect for them, and I have respect for the position. That's who I loved. I knew they knew their stuff. They gave me enough information to convince me that they were contact heavy in the marketplace, but they had ethics and they had morals. And there's a time and place for that, and it's right now. Those are the people that I would say, I'll hire that person someday when the opportunity arises. Or, man, if they were good enough, I'd go back to my manager and say, look, it's not in the budget, but here's the return on investment for this person. It would cost us this, and here's how much they can bring in, and heck, we'd create a position for them if they were that good. One more story. Now, here's where you really need to strap on your seatbelts, and it's kind of a long story, so get ready. As everyone in the hotel business knows, and I think in most businesses, there's always a rift between the accounting department and the sales office. This chapter was called Call Accounting. And what I would do, especially if I showed up in a marketplace, was to get in my office. In fact, I'd even lock the door for some strange reason, but I would, so nobody would interrupt me. And I would call my competing hotels, and I would ask the switchboard, who's in charge of accounting for your accounting office? Who's in charge of accounts receivable? And the switchboard operator would say, Joe Smith. I'd say, okay, let me talk to Joe Smith. And if it rang into the accounting office and if Joe didn't answer, I would hang up. I'd wait till Joe answered the phone. I certainly didn't want to leave a message. So eventually Joe Smith would answer the phone. And in my best stable analytic voice, accounting sounding voice, I would say, Joe Smith, my name is Bill Harper, and I am the CFO for General Electric. I would always pick on a major company not in their marketplace because I didn't want to run the risk that they knew who I was. Yes, I'm Bill Harper. I'm the CFO for General Electric. Now, you may wonder why I'm calling you, but I'm calling for your help. And I'm telling you that we're about to do something that nobody absolutely knows in your marketplace. We're about to build a major training center for all of our employees about a mile from your location. And I think my hotel buddies have told me that you guys measure an account by their, what room nights? Is that what you call it? I'm trying to be stupid here, and I'm pretty good at being stupid. And the accounting person would say, yes, that's how we measure it. Okay, good. All right. So, and I have to let you know this too, accounting person. I don't trust salespeople. Well, right about now, I'm hitting a home run with this accounting guy. He doesn't like his salespeople. I don't like my salespeople. We don't trust him. Too many adjectives, too many superlatives. They're paid liars, and they're very good at it. So the reason I'm calling you is I'm looking for the truth. I'm looking for an honest answer. I'm looking for good input, and I figure I'd call someone just like me. That's you. By now, this accounting person's floored. They have never gotten a call like this in their entire lives. Okay, they're blown away. Well, how can I help you, mister? I said, oh, okay, listen, here's what you can do for me. I would like you to tell me, can you guess already? I would like you to tell me who I can call as a reference that uses your property that is in like size to what I'm talking about here. I'm about a $500,000 account the first year. We're guessing about $1 million year two. Who do you have that uses your hotel that I can call as a reference? I'm going to call every one of them, and I'm going to ask them how good or bad you are, and quite frankly, that'll determine whether or not I use you. Sometimes I ask the accounting person for 2, 3, 4 recommendations. I promise you, they have given me 10. They give me 12. They won't let me hang up. They tell me how good their credit history is. They give me stuff I don't even need, but they're falling all over themselves to give me this information. Now, again, when I call on those accounts, if they're taken care of, if they're loyal to that hotel, there's nothing I can do. I don't care how good a salesperson I am. There's no way I can steal that business. If I can, they deserve to lose it, and so do I. I'm here to provide for my people, and what's unethical is not doing everything within the limits of the law to provide for my people and to be that successful. So, 3 stories. Start off slow, get a little heavy at the end for you. But this book is chock full of all this stuff. I'm going to share more stories in the future, all right? But you just got a flavor of 3 of the 50 stories. I guess the time's up, and I want to thank each and every one of you people for listening. I appreciate it, all right? Thanks, everybody.